In this episode, we're going to be looking at 3 ways that you can use culture to build content that is going to resonate with your audience. Now, one of the things that makes people beautiful and unique is the culture in which that they grew up in. It is the culture that fashioned and molded them to the person that they are today. One of the simplest ways that you can prove that you understand someone is by referencing the culture in which that they grew up in that really resonates with them. So let's look at the first one, local culture. Local culture is when you look at the geographical area of the town or the city that you're looking to engage with, and then you start to create content that talks about the strengths or weaknesses within that town. So it's the type of stuff that people would only know if they've been there or they're from there. By doing this, it automatically gives more depth to the content that you're creating and makes the person who's receiving it and consuming the content feel as though this is designed for them, so it personalizes the content for you. So it's kind of like when we go abroad. I'm from the UK, Birmingham for instance, but if I go abroad to say the US or Europe or somewhere like that, and I come across someone that happens to be from Britain, then automatically we make that connection. It's that frame of reference where we've both come from a similar culture and we automatically start talking. It doesn't mean we're going to hit it off, but it's automatically giving us that frame of reference. This is the same whenever you see a piece of content. If we come across a piece of content that proves that it understands our culture, then automatically we're going to be more likely to engage with that content simply because it has a similar frame of reference. So if a town, city or village is known for its nightlife, it's known for the food, it's known for the people or the hospitality, or it's known for a particular way that people dress, whatever it is, you need to reference that in your content so then you make it personal to that location. One of the biggest mistakes that I see big brands making is by generalizing their content. They don't localize their content at all, so it's not really making it personal to the consumer. If they started localizing a lot of their content, they would have better results. Although this may take a lot more resources for a big brand, in the end it will pay off because it's building deeper relationships with their target audiences. The second one is pop culture. Pop culture is events or news that is recognized on a national or international scale. Now you can leverage pop culture to bring awareness of your brand. You can do this simply by creating something that doesn't necessarily have to be relevant to whatever it is that your brand or business is doing, but you can create something that will automatically bring people to your page by referencing an event that has happened or headline news. So let's take Drake for an example. Drake come out with the song Hotline Bling. The very same day you saw memes and video memes of Drake doing something else other than dancing along in the same video. So he'd be hitting a tennis ball or he'd be bowling a bowling ball down an aisle or something like that. Now, why people did this is because the way he was dancing, it just seemed funny. But the benefits of this to the people that created this was that things like that get shared because a lot of people recognize it and see it starting to trend. As it starts to trend, people start to share. As they share the content, if you originally made it, this gets hundreds of thousands and millions of hits. Now, as this gets hits, automatically what people do, they tend to go to the profile page that created this. So whoever created this is getting massive awareness, although it isn't nothing at all to do with what you're trying to market. The benefit of this is it creates massive awareness of your brand, while at the same time it's hitting the awareness level of getting people's attention. The immediate level. If you don't know what the immediate level is and the first level of attention is, then see the previous video. Now, something that some people seem to forget is that social media culture is pop culture now. It's no longer just what's on the news or what's on TV. Now more than ever, the important thing about pop culture is that you're timely when you create it. Pop culture is not something that you create and then schedule. Pop culture is something that you react to. So if something happens within culture, you react to it by creating a fresh piece of content fast. You need to be instantly doing it. You need to do it within the same day if possible. This is because if you create a piece of content that's talking about an event that happened last week, it isn't going to have the same effect as pointing out the same day that that event happened. Now let's look at the third culture, native culture. So each social media platform speaks totally different languages. So if we look at Twitter for an example, Twitter in comparison to say Pinterest is two very different social media platforms. When someone goes to Twitter, they're going there for a totally different reason to why someone would go onto Pinterest. Most of the time when people go onto Pinterest, they're looking for inspiration or some kind of ideas or motivation, or sometimes, most of the time, with an intent to buy. When people go to Twitter, it's more like a jump in and have a conversation type of thing. It's little micro blogs. So it's literally people just sharing their thoughts or engaging in other conversations, or sometimes looking to engage with celebrities. Now remember, going back to your social media strategy, which I talked about in a previous episode, the key to native culture is finding out how people like to receive content on each individual platform. Soon as you understand this, you can start creating content that is more relevant and more likely to be received well by a particular audience on a particular platform. Now I'm going to give a shout out to my sponsor, Agorapulse, my social media management tool of choice. Now I'd like to give you guys a practical task to do, because it's all good hearing this type of information, but unless you put it into practice, most likely you're not going to use it or you're going to forget it. So I want you guys to try and make some content that implements culture. And I'd like you to hashtag Theo's thoughts. I'm going to jump in on the hashtag and look at some of the content that you guys are creating. And on a future episode, I may feature a couple of ones that I feel that did it really well. Don't forget to subscribe.